Thank you, Chair Molinar, Ranking Member Khanna, and members of the Select Committee. Good morning. My name is John C. Yang. I'm the President and Executive Director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice, which is a national advocacy organization that advances the civil and human rights of Asian Americans and seeks to promote a fair and equitable society for all. This committee was created to confront the security challenges that the Chinese Communist Party presents to the United States. We do not dispute that this challenge is real, just as the challenges posed by the Putin regime and any other autocracy is real. These governments are autocracies and dictators, then they do not respect civil rights, human rights, or democracy. That said, my purpose here today is to help this committee address these challenges without repeating the mistakes that our country unfortunately has sometimes made in the past, substituting ethnicity-based suspicion for evidence-based enforcement in the name of national security. When we in the United States have failed to recognize the distinction between governments and the people subjugated and ruled by those governments, we have subjugated people in our country, often our own citizens and residents, to harm and discrimination. Unfortunately, Asian Americans have too often been the victim in the name of national security. Now, this risk is not hypothetical. We saw the lynching of Chinese Americans and the passage of the Chinese Exclusion Act when some believed that Chinese laborers, some of the same laborers that helped to build the Transcontinental Railroad, were taking jobs from white Americans. We saw the incarceration of Americans of Japanese descent during World War II and the murder of Sikh Americans and countless hate crimes against Arabs, Muslims, Middle East, and South Asians after 9/11. More recently, we experienced tens of thousands of hate incidents, not to mention physical violence, against the Asian American community because of COVID-19. In each of these cases, there were legitimate concerns related to foreign affairs, but in each of these cases, our domestic community, our fellow Americans, were harmed. Unfortunately, this is not a vestige of a bygone era, but rather manifests itself in policies today. As many of you know, your colleague, Representative Judy Chu, has been faced with accusations of divided loyalty simply for her stalwart advocacy on behalf of the Chinese American community. More recently, Maryland Delegate Chow Wu has been slandered in part simply because he has an accent. These are not the profiles of foreign agents. These are the profiles of Americans serving our country. Policies and initiatives have likewise unfairly targeted the Chinese American and broader Asian American community. The Department of Justice's China Initiative, launched in 2018, shifted from targeting people acting on behalf of the Chinese government to targeting scientists and researchers who simply had a nexus to China. Most cases involved no espionage charges at all, but rather involve administrative errors on disclosure forms. When considering policies meant to combat state-based espionage and subnational influence, I would ask lawmakers to engage in a thorough cost-benefit analysis with the nuance necessary to develop real solutions to precise problems. Saying that a policy will benefit national security is too simplistic and does not lead to effective results. On the other side of the ledger, the cost to the Asian American community is clear. Surveys conducted by Pew and the Asian American Foundation found that 1 in 2 Asian Americans no longer feel safe because of their race or ethnicity. The number of scientists and students that are interested in coming to the United States, not just from China, but from countries all over the world, is dwindling. This brain drain does not benefit national security. National security is not only about keeping bad actors out, it is also about keeping good, innovative contributors in. I offered this committee 5 specific recommendations for developing policies that will have a net benefit to America without unnecessary costs. First, let's predicate policies on specific, articulable evidence of conduct, not ancestry, and ensure that anyone charged with enforcing those policies have the proper training and expertise to determine wrongful conduct. Second, avoid over-criminalizing administrative errors and ensure that resources are devoted to investigating issues where security is truly threatened. Third, tailor ownership or lending restrictions to actual indicators of foreign government control, not ordinary immigrant family ties. Fourth, build anti-bias training, civil rights due process protections, along with a reporting mechanism that ensures transparency in our system. And fifth, invest in language access and education to ensure that our communities receive the information they need to contribute to our economy and our security. Finally, I urge this committee to pair enforcement with renewed people-to-people exchange. Asian Americans are not a security liability to be managed. We are an asset, a community uniquely positioned to rebuild the scientific, academic, and business ties that have historically reduced the conflict between nations. A targeted approach is not necessarily a softer approach. Rather, it is a more effective one. Thank you very much. I look forward to your questions.